From your perspective, one, for your business, is a 50-year loan good or bad? And two, for the consumer, is it good or bad?
Well, if you're looking at it from like a debt amortized point, it's going to be more expensive, right?
Way more.
But if you look at the metrics of a 30-year mortgage, how many people stay for the life of that loan?
What's going on, Sarasota? We are back, episode 128. We've got a banger of an episode today. We got my buddy Anish Patel. But as always, my name is Brad Hannon.
Trey Martell.
And as I mentioned, we've got Anish Patel, Patellini's. What's up, Anish?
What's going on,
What up, brother? Thanks for coming on. Oh, good start.
How are we? How are we, guys?
What's in that cup, buddy? It's just water.
Not what we're usually thinking.
So, dude, we've got a great guest, got a great show today because we're going to talk about all kinds of things. We're going to start with pizza. We're going to go into real estate. We're going to talk lending. I mean, it's really all over the place. But, we got to start where you guys started, which is Patellini's Pizza. And, this is a 30-year-old family business, not the business I would expect the Patels to get into, of course, but you guys are crushing it. We've got tons of pizzas. We always love when guests bring the food, so we appreciate that. Absolutely. Tell us the backstory on Patellini's. We don't always go into the backstory first, but this one's cool. So basically, our parents were Indian by heritage, but when the British colonized India, both my parents are born in Uganda, Africa. Okay. So
there was a dictator, Idi Amin, in the 70s who kicked all the Indians out of the country. And in that journey, my dad, not very nice at all, but we got to the greatest place on earth. So, but he kicked us out, and my dad ended up in Italy and learned how to make pizza. So then he ended up coming to Atlanta, Georgia, because his sister was here, ended up becoming a United States citizen, and he opened the first Patellini's in the 1980, before I was born, 1985-ish is when we started.
In Sarasota?
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta, okay.
And then he came up with the name Patellini's, right?
Genius.
So in about 95, we moved to Sarasota, and we opened on Main Street. And since then, my mom has kept that Main Street store running ever since for these 30 years. And that's kind of the story of how we've done it. And, we've been on Main Street for such a long time. We've seen the growth of the town. And it's just this little small family shop that we started with and just been chugging along.
And all the family stays together because a lot of times you get family in business, you mix friendship and business, and that tears friendships, tears families apart. You guys have done a great job staying close. How do you do it? My cousin you just met, he's like the next generation because, the restaurant game is tough. It's a young man's game, and I've done all I can do with it. My mom has done as well, and now, passing the baton, and as long as there's someone to operate it, we're going to keep it going. How do you guys keep from feuding?
Sorry, Trey. Everyone feuds, it is what it is. But as long as, everyone has a common vision, right? So as long as the goals are aligned, everyone has their difference of opinions on where it should go. But I think the easiest thing with this business is it's so simple. We've simplified it, right? Let's not try to reinvent the wheel. Let's do what we're good at 30 years ago, and let's keep doing it today.
Sure.
Yeah. So what are your hours of operation now?
So we're open Monday through Saturday. We're 9 to 9 on the weekdays, and then Friday and Saturdays we open a little bit later. We open for all the special events hours, like the Christmas parade, the New Year's block party. If there's any special event in town, we'll open late till 2 in the morning. A lot of people know us from back in the day. We used to open till 3 in the morning.
Yes.
Is that why you're asking?
Yes, I'm asking. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
So you guys are no longer open after hours?
No, so we did that for that was when I was there. I did that for 10 years. We were open.
Yeah, he was coming right out of the bar to close that place down.
Yep. And that was like the glory years of that downtown thing. But it just got to a point where it was just, it gets so wild in there. And, I have 2 kids.
I remember
like Brad.
sometimes.
It's I don't have the energy to do it. And,
you ever been in a fist fight in the old Patellini's?
I don't think so, but I've seen plenty of them.
Yeah, I've definitely seen them.
Yeah. Oh, man, I know. We should have had a podcast. We got a lot of views. Yeah, but it was a wild time. But, I was young in my 20s. I had the energy to do it. I didn't have a family yet. And it was that really... we were across the street from the location. We ended up buying the building that we're in.
Okay.
And 18 years my mom...
Oh, that's right. I do remember it was across the street.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't remember that. Until we started doing late night and doing all these other new things and rebranded it a little bit is when people were like, oh, we've been here 20 years. Like, where have you been? Literally right across the street. And they never noticed us.
Yeah, well, that was like peak Ivory years, where it would flood into that pizza joint right after the bar.
Yeah. I don't even know what downtown Main Street at night looks like anymore. It's been so long. But
I think you have an idea. you.
Yeah, no, but it was great. I mean, that's really what kind of moved it and got it to where it is. And then a few months ago, Sarasota County awarded us a Legacy Business Award for like a long-standing
cool.
business. So, that's the baby that started really everything. And, from there, it just keeps moving and rolling.
So how long have you been open in Sarasota?
30 years now.
Yeah, 30 years on the dot.
On the dot, yeah.
That's pretty impressive. I've only been alive 30 years, so that's I've maintained life for 30 years. You've maintained this business for 30 years, but like I said, more importantly, you've maintained the family aspect for 30 years, and it's still family run and operated.
That's right, yeah.
And that's got to be difficult. Tell me about. We'll get into the real estate stuff, but tell me about some time that the family almost didn't stay together because of issues at Patellini's. Because I can imagine
my parents actually got divorced.
Okay,
and the landlord. That was a long time ago, but the landlord at our old location was like suing us over these things. There's actually, if you can look it up on Sarasota Herald Tribune, it was a front page article in the 90s about small business owners get in a lawsuit with landlord. And it was like this whole chronicle that the Sarasota Herald Tribune was doing about my mom. It's like David versus Goliath story.
They were kind of on your side.
Yeah, like the community was on our side, and that was like a really tough time. I mean, these businesses at that time, it was like a 15-table thing, and my mom worked extremely hard. I mean, we grew up in that restaurant morning till night. Like, we would walk from like all the Sarasota High, walk down 41, and then sit there until my mom closes. We'd do our homework in that restaurant. We'd wake up every weekend. We'd be in that restaurant washing dishes. It was all of our first job. So that's tough, right? It's like the stress of it always causes turmoil and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, there's so much pride, right? Because it's the first business, literally the American dream that you're living that got us everything. And, it's the baby, and you kind of, never kill the cash cow, right? So
what's what would you say is the biggest lesson you learned, in that business, kind of growing up, seeing your mom working hard and doing all that? What's the biggest lesson you learned? You
said it, right? It's hard work, right?
Yeah.
Like any business, you have to be there. If, you got to be, if the owner doesn't have presence in your business is going downhill. And there's a lot of restaurants we've seen. We've been on that same 1400 block for 30 years. We've seen 200 restaurants turn over on the same block. Sure. And people come into this business thinking, hey, well, I'll invest in a restaurant and I'll hire a chef or I'll hire some managers and it'll run. It will never run. Right. You might get a few good years out of it, but to get that longevity, that's why all these small mom and pop immigrant restaurants on Main Street are still there, like Tropical Thai's still there. We've known them for a very long time, and these sushi restaurants that are family owned and operated.
Well, there is something from the customer standpoint, when the owner's present on site. Yeah. Like I'm thinking about Charlie's who went to the other week, and it's cool. Hey, there's the owner serving us, the immigrant story, the hard worker. Hey man, how do you cook this piece of meat and why? And he goes into a passionate story about it. You can't replace that with systems and process with an absentee owner, right? Yeah.
Don't worry, Trey's never leaving his business.
Yeah,
you're spot on though. That's literally what it is. And now I have my cousin there and my uncle. So there's very rarely we walk in that business where there's not a Patel in Patellini's. Right. You know what I mean? So
now do you have siblings?
I have one older brother.
Was he involved in the restaurant?
He wasn't really involved. Growing up, yes, we were all. It's mandatory in a family business to be working in.
That's
a
where you
business.
cut your teeth.
Yeah, 100%. And then he went to college and moved on into like tech startup world. And then I went to University of South Florida, and this is like, you guys know, like 2008, the whole world ends.
Yeah. Sure.
And my mom calls me, and I'm just having fun at USF in Tampa, like DJing in Ybor, and you know what I mean? Like, so my mom's like, we have an opportunity to buy real estate on Main Street, right? So imagine 18 years. And plus we had trouble with the landlord. We weren't really even in the real estate world at all at this point. We just said, well, if we get this building and we work hard in that, we can pay it off. Now we own a building. And so
you're probably at the time, you're just thinking that won't contribute to our bottom line. We'll be making this much more once we pay it off. Yeah.
And we don't have issues. We don't have the stress of like landlord increases and all this stuff, which all of us go through all the time. So that was kind of the turning point where I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to do much here. I was graduating in finance. The whole world has collapsed in finance at this point. The mortgage crisis just happens. We have an opportunity to buy a building. My mom was like, I need one of my sons home. My brother has a great opportunity in like Silicon Valley jobs. So I was like, you go do it. I'm coming home.
I'll sacrifice.
I'm coming home. Let's do this. And then we designed the new one and then kind of kept it going.
So that's a great segue into the real estate investment and how you kind of figured out that world. I mean, I understand now you've got over 100 doors, kind of all local, and would you say that was really the start of it?
100%. I mean, like two distinct stories is like one, when we were delivering pizza as kids, all of our customers at Patellini's, and this is before Uber Eats apps and all this stuff, it was we knew it. So like the customer on Bird Key or Longbow Key or one of these places would be calling, speaking to my mom, personally knowing her, and be like, my son's on his way.
Right.
I'm driving like this 98 Mazda Protege just flying through the streets, delivering pizza. And that was my first job.
Not like the minivan you drive today.
Oh, dude,
nothing like
sweet.
that.
But yeah, we were driving that car and going to these places. And then on the weekends, my mom would take me and my brother, or we'd just go together, right? If my uncle would be in the restaurant, my mom would take us. And back then, if you remember, like there was no Zillow. So the listing was in those tubes. And he would open the tubes and he would pull the listing out of those tubes and he'd read it. So my mom would always say like, okay, how much is that one? And I'd be like, so 1.2 million. It's only 1.2, Mom. And she's like, only? And like that fascination for real estate began with like seeing all these houses. You're like, Sarasota is a very wild place.
Were you playing the guessing game? Like who can get closest?
Yeah, all the time.
That's pretty cool.
And when we would be like, this one's only, mine would be like, only? Like, that's $1 million, right? So
how much do you have?
Correct. And the thing is this town's fascinating in real estate because you have one US 41 that divides a crazy gap of real estate.
Sure.
And so that fascination also tying in with us owning our own building is kind of how we were like, okay, ownership of the building is the way to go, but it's an extremely long play. Right? So if we start now and we go at it one by one, let's see how far we can get. We knew nothing about this business. We had no mentors. We barely had money because we just invested all the money in the restaurant.
Sure.
So,
and this is before all the information on the internet.
We had nothing. Yeah. We had nothing. I mean, like, I'm literally going off of Rich Dad Poor Dad like everybody else.
Well,
like literally.
It's a good thing to go off
100%.
of.
100%. So my brother has his job. I'm at the restaurant. Me and my brother started together. And we bought the first property in like 2010 or 11. And I mean, it was just a nightmare. We had tenants moving in. These guys are still cutting tile, and we had no idea what we were doing. And then we just learned one by one. We managed them all in-house. So we don't have a property management company. We're doing everything in-house.
To this day, do you have a property?
To this day, we don't have a property management company anywhere. We do everything, again, as a family.
That's really cool.
Right? So that was a tough learning lesson, was how do you go from one door to scaling it and all that. And even including like my first property I bought was in Ringling Park right around the corner. And next to it now are 3 $2 million houses. And there's this one 800 square foot 2-1 cottage that I
think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you showed
are you on Ringling?
Yeah, like right on Ringling and Euclid.
Yeah, I got a house on Colorado Street. So
I think that's when I heard about it. I think we were talking about it. It's not far from that place.
Yep.
Yeah, and I bought that house, still there, and it was my second property. My first personal one that I did, and I had some with my brother, but my first personal property I bought it for $51,000, I think, or $59,000, 20% down. My mortgage payment still to this day is 30 years at $200 a month. And it's sitting there, but the taxes are so crazy on it. And like, I leave it there and I'm like, the lot value, the houses were nothing, but the lot value is worth so much. And like every weekend, I'm like, should I just tear it down and build my house now on it? You
want to knock it down and build a house? Let me know.
Yeah, there you go.
You know a guy.
It better be strong.
It better be strong.
No, but we never knew at that time when we were buying these rental properties, our methodology was like, if the purchase price is $100,000, we want the 1% rule. So we have to get $1,000 a month in rent. So we make like a 10% return. So that means in 100 months, which is a little under 10 years, we get our money back and now we own it free and clear, or we've got our, investment back if it's debt with leverage on it.
Right.
And that's kind of how we approached it. We didn't know that Sarasota would take off the way it did. No one really knew that. We were just inching forward. Like all of our Gillespie properties that we bought, I mean, we bought them all under $100,000, $200,000.
That's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've only sold one property in the history of our portfolio.
No shit.
And the rest of them we still own. Eventually we'd have to move because you just get outpriced of a market.
Right.
Because the property is just appreciated so much and there's only so far you can take a rent.
Right.
And we don't like to be those landlords who squeeze tenants. If you're a good tenant, we want to leave you in there. We're a family business, so you're talking to us who own it, not a management
Yeah, there's
company.
some value in the fact that if you don't give me headaches,
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like how much of a percentage is it worth me to risk that headache on the next person?
Just to go $100 more or $200 more, it's not worth it, and it's not worth the time. And another thing is more than ever, what separated us and why we have such little turnover in our business is that we're a family business. We understand what people go through. These hospitality workers, because we are that, that are bartenders, that they make good money, but maybe they can't qualify for debt to income when you go apply at one of these large multifamily complexes, or they get paid in cash, or all these people in the service industry and all that. So, or someone that had, a mistake where they had a felony, any big management company or bad credits, they'll just reject these people. Yeah. We will take those people.
You'll take those people. Now, as far as on the buy side, what's your appetite for leverage?
So originally, the purchase prices were so low, so you could just go in cash or whatever. But now, I think the only way to go is leveraging, and there are products specific to those things now. Back then, what would happen is you'd have conventional loan products, and as soon as you get 3 or 4, you've maxed out your debt. Right. You can't really move any further. Now there's all world of asset-based lending products where they're giving you.
A few places to go for those.
Yeah,
asset lending.
Actually, you can at 2 North Tammy Trail, Loanova Funding. So that's our new business. Right. But what ended up happening is I've already had a deep understanding of the buy side, investment side of real estate. And I happened to meet a partner. His name's Anthony Ambrosio. He started this business with me at the same time. And he's like, hey, you want to join me as my partner? He has an office in New Jersey, and we have an office here in Sarasota. And we are trying to kind of not reinvent the wheel of mortgage business, but we're trying to figure out the pain points from the realtor's aspect, the investor's aspect, and kind of bridge that gap. And that is kind of
with some of these more creative products.
Yeah, more creative products, but not only that, like, for example, our whole generation has student loan debt, right? We have all these other things, debt to income. The first time home buyer a generation ago was like in their 30s. Now it's the 40s. Yeah. Right? So it's getting harder and harder to achieve a home. So you have to have people with knowledge that can put these people in products correctly and give them advice. We would never, or I, as a company, but specifically me and my partner Rich Boyd, which we wouldn't do a deal or put you in a deal that we wouldn't do ourselves. And because we have the experience of doing deals all the time, that kind of lets us guide people in the right direction.
Gotcha. So if you're going to build your avatar for your mortgage company, what's your avatar customer look like?
We didn't even talk about, you briefly mentioned the mortgage company. So talk about Loanova and the funding then tie it into that.
Okay. So in a nutshell, what happened is the transition from tangible real estate investments, now we're in the debt side, lending the money for people to do the investments. Right. We have two, the company's called Loanova Funding, and we have one part of it, which is Loanova Home Loans. Loanova Home Loans is powered by American Financial Network, which is one of the largest mortgage banks in the world. Okay. So that's all your FHA loan products, VA, USDA, conventional, all that type of stuff is in this. The difference of why we're good at this is a depository bank like Chase, Wells Fargo, and all these people that can open a checking and savings account, they fund those deals with their deposits. For us, we're just a mortgage bank. That's all we do is mortgage bank. So we can compete against the large big box banks. But, your loan officer there is like gone on bank holidays 9 to 5. For us, we're all day, every day for our clients. And realtors love working with us because, one, we are competitive against the big box banks, but they can get a hold of us.
Right.
And you're going to hustle for the deals, whereas the in-house 9 to 5 are.
And speaking of that, the reason why we are doing it differently is a loan officer builds his book of business, closes a book of business like a real estate agent. What we've created, which we're pretty much one of the only people that are doing this, is we have business development managers all across the country. So we have one in Miami, we have one in Orlando, one in Sarasota, and these guys nurture a relationship between himself, a real estate brokerage, or an investor, or a realtor, and he becomes the point of contact, and then the loan officers just sit and do the loans.
Gotcha.
And because of that, we've created more efficiency, the ability for the loan officer to do more deals. Like if you're a real estate agent, how many deals can you take in a month? If you have to drive clients around.
Some really good loan officers are not really great at going to get business, but they're really good at getting the deal done at a great, at a great deal. Sure. But others are, maybe they're really good at going to get it. That's where a business relationship manager or business development manager, business relationship manager. And then that's what we've done. And we found that was so effective because
Now a realtor can get hold of your BDM that's assigned to that area or that person. He discusses the deal. It is assigned to the loan officer that we feel best fit for that deal.
Sure.
So business development manager might call us and say, Trey wants to do a fix and flip in Siesta Key. So he'll tell us about the deal.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. There's a lot of them out there.
I'm buy and hold.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he would send it in, and then we would then assign the loan officer, like, this loan officer is great at this product for Trey. And another thing is what we learned building this business is, why are people going like Rocket Mortgage online? There's no relationship. Your file is bounced around from an underwriting department that's in California and a processing department that's here. We're doing everything in-house.
Right.
So the person you're talking to and the loan officer you're talking to, we're in control of everything of that file or that loan for the entire process. You start with us and meet with us. And like a crazy stat is under like 20 or 30% of people use their loan officer more than twice.
No shit.
Yeah, that's it. That's the metric. So we're trying to break that by saying, hey, we're your guy. We want to be your guy, and not like every time you walk into a Chase Bank, there's another loan officer there, or you just put an application, but you're trying to explain to them, well, I'm self-employed, or well,
right. The paper doesn't show you the whole picture. Let me tell you the whole picture.
You guys think you'll have a better pulse on the person's ability to pay, correct?
Yeah. And not only that, but the criteria in which they're going in that direction is extremely high. And most people right now cannot afford that. So like, we can take people out of 580, 600 credit scores. If you walk into a depository bank, they're rejecting you if you don't have 750 or higher. So we're still trying to help people get into things. And, technically the word that it gets a bad name now, which is subprime mortgages, but we have appetite for those things. You're still getting into the house. Your rate might be different, but you're still eventually getting into a house, paying your mortgage, which that equity is building in your pocket. And that's what we're trying to do.
Hey, we're having a blast here. Going to know all about Patellini's and all Anish's businesses. If you want to get to know him a little bit further, stay tuned for rapid fire questions fueled by Food and Beer.
Hi, this is Anish Patel, owner of Patellini's Pizza and Loanova Funding, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions. 10 specific answers. Nothing off limits. This is Rapid Fire fueled by Food and Beer. What's your favorite professional sports team?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Nintendo Switch, Xbox, Sony PlayStation, or do you kick it old school with Atari?
Xbox, Halo, 2, college days, the best.
Go-to drink of choice.
Captain Morgan and Coke.
Got a little captain in him. Got a little captain in you.
Besides super chunk fudgy peanut butter ice cream, what's your favorite flavor?
Favorite flavor ice cream, cookies and cream.
How do you like your steak cooked? Well done, medium rare, bloody, or still mooing?
Medium plus.
I haven't heard that one.
And I said, what the hell? And he's like, yeah, medium plus. I'm like, he's like, is that like medium rare? What the hell? Why don't you just say medium rare?
Who's the better Joker, Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger?
Why so serious?
Heath Ledger.
Let's not blow this out of proportion.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
I wish I got a haircut today.
Who's the go-to-goats, Tom Brady or Michael Jordan?
Ooh, tough one. I'm going to go with Tom Brady because he won me Super Bowl.
It's his 7th Super Bowl championship.
Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
In the pizza business, yep. People order it. I don't want to turn those customers away.
You cannot argue with the customers, okay? Even if they're wrong, you don't argue with them. The customer's always right.
On a rainy day, what's your go-to activity? Other than roofing.
Hitting golf balls in my simulator.
All right, so picking it back up here, we've talked about Patellini's, we talked about the real estate portfolio and Loanova Funding. I want to unpack Loanova Funding in a minute, but let's jump back into the real estate investing because everybody wants to do that at some level. I don't care if they've admitted it or not. Like if you've made a little bit of money, the next logical step typically is real estate, right? But a lot of people get burnt doing that. And one of the things that you've done really well with is you've got a very good success record, right? You have a really good track record in that. Do you relate that to one specific niche, or what's the strategy for you guys now that you figured out that you didn't have then, right? Because originally it's like buy and hold, just kind of figuring out. Now you guys have a little bit more strategy behind it. What's your strategy and why does it work?
Can I add to that too?
Sure.
Do you guys target multi-family homes or single-family homes currently?
Doing single-family homes. The largest thing in our portfolio is 10 units. So we target that area because what happens is anything you go bigger to that area, it's small families and small single owner landlords, you're priced out. The big boys that develop and the GCs, they can build and do things at a cost basis that I could never do.
Sure.
So once it comes down to the numbers and I rent it, my profit margin is so razor thin just to do what they're going to do at a huge level.
Yeah.
And usually when people are playing those games at the biggest level, they're raising private equity, which brings a whole nother component to it. They have investors, which brings a whole other component to it. So there's less control. Now you have to, deal with so many different things. And I think for starting out, like you said, I think it's sticking to the game plan that you create in the beginning, right? Which is, like I was explaining earlier, does the rent cover the debt service? You have to factor in vacancies. You have to factor in all these things, and you have to be confident. It's still a business at the end of the day. Anyone who says I'm in real estate, I have passive income. There's no such thing.
Mailbox money.
No,
maybe.
It's not true at all, right? But you still have to treat it like a business. And another thing is as you grow, you learn things. Like for example, for us, everyone always provided washers and dryers, but we were spending so much money on washers and dryers because we're not taking care of them. You're not taking care of them the way you would do at your home. Or another thing is we would have shower doors or that would break and small little components like that, or the type of tile we would put in or the type of windows we would put in. And eventually we would streamline it to where it's like
the type of roof they put on.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go all metal on everything these days. But
right.
Yeah, but that same thing. Now it's like, okay, we have this one specific code of paint that every unit's going to be in there. So you start streamlining the process and you start getting better at where you can save money, where you can save time. And the biggest game really is keeping units full. And I have people who are always like, yeah, I'm just going to keep it on market for Zillow because I want $2,500 a month. But the market's at $2,100. And if they waste 2 months, you're on $5,000. If you just run it at $2,100, now it's going to take you 40 months to make that up,
Right.
And that's moving with the market. In fact, I try to price slightly below the market because then you actually get to pick your tenant.
Yeah.
Right? So you get quality tenants. And when you get quality tenants, you have less headache. It's easier to run the business. You have less turnover. And so, it's just come up with that game plan and be confident. I think the scary part is doing that first one. And that's in anything.
Sure.
That's not in my business, Trey's business, Brad's business. Once you get that first one and you get to like 2 and 3, and then you're like, okay, now I got it.
Right.
And it's like riding a bike.
Stride.
Yep.
And so you said single family more so than multifamily.
And, there's a reason why, Blackstone and BlackRock and all these people are buying every single family starter home in the country because they see that this is where this market's headed, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we hate to say that, especially for our generation, is going to be the one that gets the most cooked with this.
Right.
Having kids or millennials who can't afford homes because
the homes are priced.
They're priced astronomically, or they're coming out with some student loan debt, and their wages are not. The price increase and how much they're making has not equated to where they can come in the market.
So you're not a big believer in the 50-year mortgage?
Well,
Did I steal your question?
You wrote it down.
I know what's going on in Trey's mind.
I love it. I love it. You know what's funny?
Trey, you want to ask that question? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, from your perspective, one, for your business, is a 50-year loan good or bad? And 2, for the consumer, is it good or bad?
Well, if you're looking at it from like a debt amortized point, it's going to be more expensive, right?
Way more.
But if you look at the metrics of a 30-year mortgage, how many people stay for the life of that loan?
Not many.
It is so astronomical. Small because people buy that 30-year mortgage. They've either outgrown the home, they have growing families, they moved to a bigger place, sold it because they have equity,
or
so
they die,
sold for profit, or die. There's so many things that happen. So when they're talking about 30-year to 50-year, and the argument's all online, and people are just arguing in both directions, it's like, okay, pull up the stats on how you will even stay for a 30-year.
Right.
Now, from like a long-term like investment approach, if your goal is to cash flow, take the 50-year because you have more monthly cash flow, right? So all those type of things they're so nuanced, but what we do good in our business is I analyze deals for people and say, I would go this route, right? And it all depends on everything's so sensitive to rates and timing and all that stuff. But
now, will these 50-year loans be available to investors, or will this be?
It would probably only be available to single family if that even happens. We don't even know if it'll happen. Okay. Now they're talking about portable mortgages.
It would just be like a 50-year conventional, basically.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're doing it is because if they stretch it to 50, it lowers the down payment, which then helps the debt to income ratio. So it jumps a lot of consumers in that couldn't afford to.
But it only lowers the monthly payment. Like a $500,000 house, it's like $200.
$200, but it's shocking that $200 can bring.
It's enough to move the needle. But my question is, will bringing these many more buyers to the market increase the price of the house that much more that the $200 might get eaten up by the price of the house?
100%. So as the inventory goes down, the demand goes back up. So when rates come down, your house values are going to go up. And that's how it is. Like right now, we tell a lot of people that we have customers call us all the time. I'm just going to wait till the rates drops. I'm like, yeah, and so is everybody else. And then that $600,000 house, you can always refi.
Right.
But you always can't grab the home you want, especially if you're in a good financial situation. If you are struggling or this and that, and you unfortunately you just can't be that picky.
Yeah.
And that's what people like these new communities, these cookie cutter communities do well. They finance it in-house. They do it all in-house. And
then their property values go down.
Yeah.
I would be curious, and you might know the statistic on this, but I think it's a very high number, or a very low number rather, of people ever buy a family home, like their home, not an investment property. But very few people buy a house and lose money on that house.
Very rarely.
Really rarely. You have to buy in a crazy market.
Well, 2006.
Like I said, it's a long game. Real estate is a long play. Stocks generally go up over time, always. Same with real estate. Now, if you were one of those type of people who are like every day pulling out your phone, Zillowing the value of your house, shut it off. Like you're just giving yourself anxiety.
First of all, stop trusting Zillow anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's appraisals in our industry for a reason, you know? But it has to be a long play, and it's all a cycle. Just like the stock market, just like any market in any business, you're in this loop. So we've come off of a very high rate term, and now next year we are expected to get a lot of rate cuts. Then it'll just the cycle of rinse repeat, and then that will create a huge run in the mortgage business and a huge run where there's like right now I have friends that are under all these realtors in town. They all have active listings just sitting. Like there's listings in this town. The whole town's pretty much for sale almost, right? So once these rate cuts happen, the inventory gets up, the cycle starts all over again, and it's just this ongoing thing.
What's your personal forecast for the rate cuts? What's your gut telling you?
I think that we would get. I think it has to happen because the world needs to keep transacting, right? And that's bad for everybody. So if
it's bad for everybody if they don't.
They don't, yeah. So if
the houses don't turn over, the roofs don't turn over.
Correct.
We don't like that shit. About one bit, cut those fucking rates.
100%. I need to sell pizzas too. You know, I'll be back in the kitchen if they don't happen. But I think definitely. I can expect a full point next year. I think that's definitely going to happen. Some people are saying 2 points.
That sounds sexy.
A quarter point per quarter.
Hell yeah.
It all depends. Like if Powell gets out.
I think a quarter point per quarter until it has to stop. I don't know that we get a full point, but you're better versed than I am.
Also, another crazy thing was like my house's mortgage is a COVID rate. Like, me and my wife were thinking about moving, and we're like, wow, it's hard to leave at 2.99.
Dude, I was at this like U.S. economy. He was actually like the guy that worked for a big bank, a big box bank, and he was like the, economist for them or whatever. And he's going through this whole thing. And he's like, any guesses as to what the rates were, for like 60 years ago, whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. 13%.
It's like 18%. And we're bitching about, 6, 7, 8. It's 18%. Like when our grandparents bought houses, 18%.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
It's a crazy rate. But, the unfortunate metric is like back then, one man could work. A woman could stay home and raise the family. Right. It was more traditional because the economy allowed that.
We about to get all red pills. Single income.
You could do that with one person. Now everyone has to work. Like I was just talking to like Donald's from Tweeds' kids and all our kids go to the same school, and Richie's kids go to the same school with my partner, which I'll talk about him in a little bit, but he's a good dude. But we're like, it's like, how are people affording $24,000 a year for daycare for 2 kids, right? It's like, this is the problem that's happening, and it's specific to our generation.
Yeah.
Like, no one else, correct, like the boomers come back and say, well, back in our day it was like this.
Yeah.
This is the stories we're going to tell our kids, saying you had no idea how hard it was.
I'm not telling those stories. I'm not going to be back in my day guy. That's never going to be me.
We didn't even have a robot to clean our room.
Well, let's bring it to current, because one of the things that I'm really excited about what you're doing, and hearing more about it is really cool. I remember you first came to me on it, and you're like, I'm a partner in a bank, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like, you got access to the vault or what? Which it's a really cool story how it happened, but it does mesh well with everything you're doing. I mean, everything besides the pizza. The pizza is the only thing that doesn't fit in now.
I know. It's
where's
pretty
the
wild
pizza?
Seed money.
Yeah, exactly.
Seed money.
Correct.
So Loanova Funding.
Yep.
Okay, we talked about it briefly, but you talked about how you got it started, but what is like he mentioned Avatar, but what's the business plan of Loanova Funding essentially? What is like what is Loanova Funding? You don't have a check. I can't open a checking account with Loanova Funding.
Yeah. So anyone in our community that wants a home loan or wants to get into real estate and invest into real estate, we have the products that allow you to go do that. Right. So if it's a home loan, I'm a first-time home buyer. We have experts that can help you and guide you through the process to get you into your first home, in not only here, in all 50 states.
Yeah.
And on the investment side, if you wanted to do any asset-based lending or any other programs, pretty much our product suite is endless.
Yeah.
And there's there's programs we don't even have that people probably have.
Sure.
Right. So that's kind of the space. But our goal is to provide a big bank style feel, but with a very concierge level of doing business, where you know the people you're doing business with, and we're helping you through the process. Not you're just submitting a form online, and you don't know. Someone's not explaining you things correctly.
How are you guys scaling with demand? Like as demand picks up and as demand increases, how are you continuous scale? I mean, all 50 states, you guys could get swamped pretty quickly. How do you guys manage that?
We have a loan officer here in our office. He's already training a second loan officer. As far as the sales going in and business development, my partner here is Richard Boyd, who is me and
he's solid.
We played golf together.
He's a cop, though. Watch out.
Yeah, he's a Sarasota County sheriff.
It's the best kind of loan officer, best kind of partner to have, I guess.
Oh my God! I mean, team guy, right?
Yeah,
so he's ex-pro athlete in hockey, plays Sarasota County Sheriff, and he's a SWAT team sniper here in Sarasota.
Perfect.
And
good partner.
And an amazing golfer.
Yeah.
But he's just a great guy. And he when I started this, I was like, hey, do you want to join me on this journey? And he's like, yeah. And he's such a teams guy. To have that as right by my side, building this with me is great, because with all those employees that you have over there, it's the same thing. Like you need those systems in place in order for us to scale correctly. So we're like any other business. We're still learning how far to get there, but we're going to grow at the pace to where we're always providing the borrowers and customers the highest level of experience and expertise that we can. We're not going to go do loans just to do loans, because then we're going backwards, and then no one's going to use us, and our reputation suffers, and you guys know that in your businesses. So we're doing the same thing that we're all doing, is inching it forward, doing what is in our capabilities. But, just like all of us as well in this room, all the talent we're hiring is right here in Sarasota, Florida.
Yeah.
Now, he put the cart before the horse a little bit. So my question was, what is your customer acquisition strategy? So before you scale, you got to figure out how to get the clients in the door.
Yeah, I just see things backwards, right?
So right now, what happened in real estate, this is on the real estate realtor side, investment side, and in the mortgage side. There was this big lead generation boom, but now all the consumers are like so tired of it. Like, we buy houses cash and this stuff and all these things trigger leads. And so we went back old school to that business development manager model, to where the business development managers go out there in communities and say, hey, I'm working at a Loanova Funding. Who's helping your clients as a realtor? Who's doing all your funding? Or going to an investor meetup, like we have the Sarasota RIA here in Sarasota, saying, hey, if you guys ever need loans for any of your things, let's talk about it in products. So we're actually going negatively to where everyone's going forward in more tech. We're trying to go back to where it is, because in this space, you're messing with people's money and their livelihood. And we want it to be more of a, approach to where you're building trust with the borrower or the realtor or the broker or the investor, and they're reliable. Like if I'm an investor, I want to scale. I can't apply and I talk to a different guy every time. It's like if Brad says, hey, I want to buy 30 rental properties.
It's a terrible process to go through, even with a friend. Miserable. You know what I mean? Like buying a house is just really, really not like fun until you get into the house, or like the search process is a blast. But I mean, even just the last house was a good friend of mine, Dusty Meshberger, who member at my country club, play golf with him. He's a great guy. He walked me through the process, but I couldn't imagine doing it with somebody that I don't know, or the loan officer from the bank or whatever. Like that relationship is important.
It is important, and it's a lot, right? It's like so much things are thrown at you. These documents are this big, and there's all these fees and all this stuff.
I had a freaking gym membership. Like, why didn't you pay this gym membership? I'm like, because they wanted me to go in physically to cancel it, and it was $10 a month.
And
like,
then you just cancel the credit card and end up with the debt for 2 years.
You're like, come the fuck.
Never been there before.
Speaking of that,
it's so stupid.
That's why we added so many different products. That's a Loanova Home Loans conventional loan. That's when they're underwriting it from that perspective. They're pulling out. They want to know your blood type, and you're like, it's crazy, right? But then we have Loanova Funding, which is it's called QM and non-QM. QM means qualified mortgage, which is your conventional, non-QM. The non-QM products would be great for Brad, but Brad he never did that or had that all in-house, saying, all right, Brad's like, next time I don't want to deal with any of that. I'm
pretty sure mine was fairly non-QM. We'll talk offline on it. But it was a great deal. It was
but then we have like bank statement programs, right? So essentially, the more docs you show in this business, the more disclosures you give, the better the rate, the better this. But 1% of you just saying, I just need to turn and burn as an investor or a homeowner, or if that's your strategy, those 90% of the time, they'll just take the higher rate, because there's like, I don't have time to go do all this because I need to grow this.
Yeah, and you're not holding it long term.
Not being gone within the year,
Right.
Or whether they're flipping it, or even if they're holding it, their money changes so rapidly, especially in the entrepreneurial world. I'm always risking money on projects all the time. So if every single time a bank would say like, hey, do you have 6 months of reserves? Do you have this? I never have that, because I'm always spending money in my businesses and trying to build them. So that's why that Loanova Funding side versus the home loan side is where we really outshine the competition, because me and my partner Anthony and my partner Rich, we all come from the world of real estate investing. So we're guiding you as you're growing your portfolio, and we want to grow our business while you grow your portfolio.
Sure, and they work hand in hand.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, you've been in Sarasota for a long time, so I think you mentioned the pizza oven at Patellini's is the same age as you,
same age,
been there
man.
30 years since they basically opened, which is crazy.
It's missing a couple knobs if you go in there.
You are the pizza oven.
And you know what?
It's still spitting out great pizza, though. I mean, we've already dug in,
and it's only been shut off one time. When we moved from one street to the other. It stays on all night. We never shut it off.
Really?
So that flame on that brick oven has been burning for pretty much 30 years. Yeah.
Is that standard or?
I don't know if it's standard. That's what we do.
Does a fire marshal know this?
You need a pizza at 4 a.m., call Anish. The oven's burning. Yeah. You might have to spin the dough yourself and make it, but
that's the beauty of it. We can go there at any hour.
Hey, you got a code for this door? I can get in and make a pizza.
For sure.
Yeah, we gotta do that one night at 3 a.m. Pizza making contest.
It's been done before.
I'm sure it has.
Well, listen, you've been in Sarasota a while, so I would love to ask you this question, but it's Trey's question.
My question.
It doesn't give me any questions.
Cue me up. Okay, good. Tom Ayer Law and Trey Martell want to know, what are your feelings on roundabouts? Do you love them or do you hate them?
I love them.
And why?
I love them, and I'll tell you why. I got a good answer for this one. I have 2 young kids, and they fall asleep when I'm driving.
On them?
Like when I'm driving, they're sleeping. Yeah. If I stop at a red light, they wake up and start crying.
True.
The roundabouts keep me flowing.
You prepared for this. You knew that was going to be.
Well, I've experienced it. I'm like, no red lights. Let me go to the roundabout.
I remember those days. Yeah. My kids don't sleep in the car anymore. Well, my little one does a little bit, but he doesn't care if we stop, go, whatever. But remember the stroller. The stroller. If you're walking and then like there's like foot traffic, you got to stop. You're like, shit. Like just try to keep it moving. Rock it back and forth. They stay sleeping. That's a tip for later.
I have a 2-year-old and a 9-month-old. 8-month, 9-month-old. So 15 months apart.
Yeah,
back to back.
You guys are putting in the work. You done?
Irish twins.
You done? You going again?
Are you?
We'll see.
All right, we'll see.
I'm not against it. We'll see.
I'm not against it either. You know.
Well, we always wrap up the podcast with one simple question. You know, a lot of people in town. You know, we get a ton of our guests from word of mouth. Other guests bug us to come on. Eventually, we let them come on, but. We get a lot of.
I'm sitting there watching all these episodes. I'm like, Jordy's been on, and Evanov's been on, and I'm like, well, all my boys have been on. And I'm like waiting for Brad to call me. I'm playing golf with the guy. He's not inviting me.
We wanted to save the good one to wrap up the year, and that was a killer one. I mean, all the stuff you're doing is really cool. But in closing, we like to ask our guests. We've heard from you. You know people that we don't know. Who do you know that Sarasota needs to hear from that we haven't had on?
Ooh, this is a good question.
It's a tough question, but we don't let anybody off the hook either. So we'll be here as long as it takes.
Yeah. Have you had a police officer on?
Well, yeah, we've had chief of police several times.
Let's do.
You can't recommend your partner. Yeah. That's self-serving. Yeah. That's self-serving.
This is the same episode with all pizza again. Actually, I have a good person.
Have my cousin on.
He's actually, me and him are actually working on a project right now in Sarasota. And we're doing like a rental property together. He's one of my best friends in this town. He's downtown. People call him DTB, Downtown Bobby. His name's Robert Reardon. Okay. And he's just like amazing technology guy, right? Okay. So he was at offers.com at Rich Swire and those guys. Yeah. And he's just like, he would be a great person to have on discussing AI stuff and all that.
I'd know him.
Yeah, Robert Reardon. Yeah.
I mean, if he's downtown Bobby, you got.
He would be great.
They call him DTT.
Yeah. There you go. Well, you know who used to work for Rich Swire as well.
Yeah. There we go. Well, we'll get him on.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming,
all right,
bro.
Man. Thanks, guys.
About time you get on here.
Great.